perception. Oops, you took capital P, in case you didn't get that. Perception in a democracy is often truth. And I'm going to put quotes on that. What does that mean? What's the key word in that phrase? Go ahead.
Don't believe what you see.
Well, that's the real truth, because perception
It's just your own idea.
is what your own view is, right? And often it's determined by propaganda. We don't call it propaganda. We almost usually refer to it as political rhetoric. But what's really the difference? Okay. What is this modern term? We call it fake news, but it's the same thing, right? Again, not talking modern stuff. I'm really not. Perception in a democracy is often true. Why? Why does it matter? What if you're in a dictatorship?
They're feeding you what they want you to believe.
Yes. In a democracy, you vote. And so the perception is what determines your vote. It influences your vote, right? And so if you vote because of the perception, then you've made that decision. Does it matter if it's real or not? If FDR was being really successful, you don't have to look at FDR as being a bad guy. I'm not intending for you to do that. He's in the out. He's not the president. He's in the out. His party hasn't been elected for, what, years and years. You had Wilson, you had Cleveland, that was it. Since Civil War. So how does he get elected? All he has to do is say, Hoover doesn't care. And since the economy is in a bad shape, and who do you blame when the economy is in bad shape? Isn't it easier to blame the guy on top? So if you say it's his fault, and I will solve it, does it matter if Hoover was a bad guy or a good guy? No. Does it matter if FDR can actually solve it? Because that's the other part of perception. No. Go ahead. Because they elect him. Go ahead.
We had the exact same thing in India, like Congress was ruling like New Delhi, like the chief minister, like they had this central power, and then this guy comes out in Kejriwal, he's like, I'm going to be the good guy, I'm going to end all the corruption and like clean up all the everything that's corrupt.
Right.
People voted for him like crazy because he's like, I'm going to make everything free, free electricity, free internet, free everything.
Because they wanted it to be true, right?
Yeah.
That's really,
So
you
they
wanted it to
they
be
were
true.
just voting on like their feelings and perceptions.
It's very common. Very common. It becomes more common in the modern era. Because if you don't have laissez-faire, if the federal government is active, then this is really critical because the federal government could be promising you things. How many of you guys saw Wizard of Oz? Ever saw Wizard of Oz? When was that made? The book came out like 1898, and largely the book had to do with the election of 1896. It was kind of a metaphor. But when it was done as a movie, they made it all about FDR. Who's the bad guy? Not the bad guy. Who's the main character that you never see until the very last part? The Wizard of Oz, right? The wizard. They go up there, the great and powerful, big, huge facade. Now, is that really who he is? No, just some guy in the back. But everyone believed that the wizard could solve all problems. Until they get there and they realize, no, he's not going to solve anything. Although in the end, this is the humor of all humors. Does he solve everybody's problem? Yes! How does he do it? You guys may not remember the movie. You had it in there all the time. The lion is far more courageous than you think. The Tin Man is far more empathetic. Tin Man, industry. The lion, military. The academia, the experts. Who's the other guy? Scarecrow, who needs a brain. It's a metaphor, right? But that's kind of the way, the perception. FDR doesn't have to solve it. He just has to kind of promise. Now we got about a minute here. It's really important. It leads to our daily quiz. In 1932, what does FDR have to do? He just has to promise change. But FDR has to be re-elected. So in 1936, what does he have to do? If If he just made all these promises and he didn't have any solutions, what's going to happen in 1936? And just to let you know, does the economy go up or down after 32? It actually goes down. The economy goes down. The unemployment does not get solved. Motivate. A lot of the solutions, and we'll talk about these more specifically, these get labeled as unconstitutional. You can't do it. Now, we'll explain why. It has to do with antitrust. So the economy doesn't necessarily get better. So if he's going to be re-elected in 36, what does he have to do?
More solutions?
I just didn't have enough time the first time. Give me another term, I'll do it. For your purposes, you need to recognize that FDR had two New Deals. The first New Deal was how he gets elected. The second New Deal is how he gets re-elected. When we talk about the first New Deal, all the promises have to do with recovery. If we do this, we will recover. What do you think the second New Deal is about? I'm just going to give you money. Now, not quite as blunt as that, but in a sense that's what it is. If you can understand this, then when we talk about all the alphabet agencies, do we have a bunch of them here? I don't have them here. I'll show you. I'll give you a list of all the alphabet. When we talk about all the alphabet agencies, it's very difficult for you to remember them all. There's like 100 of them. And I will give you a list of them. These are the ones you need to know. If you understand first New Deal, second New Deal, then you'll understand how to distinguish. Some of these agencies are intended to recover the economy, and some of them are intended to give relief. The ones that began were basically based off, this is what I'm doing to show that I have action. Once he's in office, he has other ones. Not necessarily in 36. Most of these come in 1935 because he's running for election the next year. That's the second New Deal. We'll talk about these more on Monday. Today, Wednesday. Questions, comments, words of wisdom?
Where's the attendance sheet?
We'll see you guys on Monday. Where's what?
Did we do the attendance sheet?
Oh, you don't have the attendance sheet. Did anybody get the attendance? Did I hold on to it? Oh, I'm a bad man. Here is your attendance sheet. Make sure you sign before you leave.